You know what? You don't get to pick your breaking point. The point that you reach when it's too much and you just had enough. You're at your breaking point. You don't get to pick that. Or do you? Think about that. Before you reach your breaking point, usually you're operating at a high stress level for an extended amount of time. You're under stress. You're anxious. You're operating anxiously. Anxiously, is that a word? You're operating for a period of time and a state of high anxiety. Leads to stress. When you're thinking about those 2 points, anxiety and stress, the bad type of stress, because you know there are good stresses, things that you get excited about, but we're talking about the bad type. So when you have bad stress and anxiety, or they'll be combined, and they're running for any length of time, the next thing that's in there, if it's not already in there from the get-go, is emotion. What happens when you're at that point where enough is enough? You got 3 things brewing there: anxiety, stress, and emotion. You lash out. It's a breaking point, right? Whether that's verbal, physical, whatever the case may be, your breaking point. One of the bad things about this is when you reach that point, it's often too late. These are those moments where you go, man, what happened? What did I do? Oh man, that was overboard. It's not an excuse, on what I'm trying to make here for you. When you're dealing with foolishness for long stretches of time, when you're suppressing feelings, especially when you're in an uncomfortable position, long stretches of time. All of this plays a part in you reaching your breaking point. This is the very reason why we talk about on this channel on how to prevent all of these things. Ways to overcome these hurdles. One of the reasons why I came to this topic, I'm thinking about myself, and I'm thinking about somebody else close to me, where it wasn't until it was too late and you realize, man, I'm stressed out. Not that anything bad happened to anybody else or was anything that needed to be apologized for, but it was the effects that it took on your mind, your body, just your overall mental health, on how you're feeling, to a point where you feel really physically ill. I have another family member that had a really serious illness, and one of the things that they contributed it to, and they would often mention this to me, they would say, you know, I really think it was from me operating for years like a cat on a hot tin roof, meaning they were on edge. They were just like stressed out to the max with all aspects, everything that was going on in their life. And it was just like they were on 10. And if you know anything about the human body, you know anything about the way that we are built, you can tolerate the stress. You can tolerate anything for any short amount of time, but it's not good to do it for any long extent of time. Just like with high blood pressure. One of the ways that it was explained to me was, one of the reasons why, I'm not a doctor, this is not medical advice, but it did help to bring this home on with high blood pressure on how it operates. It was just in a casual conversation that somebody was talking to me on, and it was saying, before you get to that point of that high blood pressure, usually your body is trying to level out on operating at that, high level with the pressure, with your blood. And what happens is, it goes for such a long length of time that you're now diagnosed with high blood pressure because this is the way that it, regularly operating, or it's operating to where it'd be to your detriment for any given time because it's went on so long. So, and with it being untreated, it'll take you out of here. So it's the same thing with stress. Think about that. And actually, I'm glad that I used that analogy because you think about what high blood pressure and you think about how stress can affect that. That's one aspect of it. When you hear somebody go, man, my pressure's getting up because I'm getting all worked up. Same thing with everything that we're talking about having that breaking point. I've said this in my earlier videos when I've mentioned it's very important to know on how far you're willing to go with things. And I mean, I'm coming from a good place with this, saying, where are your boundaries? Where do you refuse to go? Because if you know where you refuse to go and where you refuse to have other people, take you, just like that last video that I published about not being manipulated by manipulated ones. If you know how far you're willing to go, you know to stay way far and clear away from anything that'll take you there. You don't even want to tiptoe around those lines. And it's the same thing with your breaking point. And by all means, with me referring to it as your breaking point, I'm not explicitly stating this part where you just lash out and you become like this beast. It can be that. Anybody that can be brought out in them. You are pushed long and hard enough. But what I'm actually talking about is, and I'm really talking about this as an internal struggle. Something that you're operating up on and you just like, wow, I've really internalized this to where I'm physically ill. And the thing is, it's small things that add up to this breaking point. It can be. It doesn't have to just be one grand gesture that puts you there. It can be. But a lot of the times it's something that sneaks up on you. You don't even notice it because you just keep tucking it away, putting it behind you, hoping it'll go away. In some cases, with some people, putting your head in the sand, closing your eyes, acting like it doesn't exist, hoping that it'll go away, opposed to coming up with a solution, a positive, healthy solution that allow you to overcome this obstacle. And what is one of the top things that I would say in my older videos for my people out there who's been watching from the beginning? Or you went back and checked out some of those older videos. If it's not something that you can overcome, it's something that you're weak to, at least you know what it is so you don't fall prey to it. I know these videos get really analytical and I really pick apart the smallest details and the things that add up, but it's these small things that can make you get tripped up on the larger things, or that can trip you up on the larger things. They can turn into much bigger things that are larger than what you anticipate dealing with. Your breaking point. It's food for thought. I just wanted to put that out there because when I look back over my life, on some of the parts where I'm like, man, this is overwhelming. How did this come to be? Surely I wouldn't have just let this, sit up in my lap like this. And I just think about the small things that I let get to me, and it's just like, wow, this is not good. So I want to deal with everything on a level. Yeah, true enough. I want to say the flip side of this. Yeah, you got to learn to let some things roll. You don't want to, like what my mother used to say, you don't want to sweat the small details. You don't want to sweat the small stuff, but you need to know what leads where. It's another one of my videos when I talk about, the intentions behind like relationships when you're dealing with people on certain things, whether, I'm going to let this go, or does this go deeper down the well than what you're just saying? I need to know this. I need to know how we stand amongst one another. Are you conniving, curveball throwing, backstabbing? Anytime you could try to kick me on my way down or to kick me down, are you that person? And I'm just hanging around you because you're funny, you give me a laugh here and there. Or I have some sort of debt in my head that I'm just holding on to because you did one kind gesture, and I just won't let it go, and somehow I've chalked this up to you just being this good person. So I'm gonna let all this other stuff ride. That's the reason why I talk about relationships have to constantly be reevaluated to see who belongs there in your circle. And if not, how can you move on your way? All of this factors in together. And it's just something I wanted to bring attention to. Something that's impacted me, and I'm sure it's impacted many other people out there. It's my take on it. My 2 cents on it. If you hadn't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on other social media. Check out a book I've written. I Ain't Kilimanjaro's The Arithmetic, The Family Communication. It talks about these very things. It talks about taking it to yourself first so you can deal with the people on the outside. All right? Stay encouraged. Avoid being discouraged. I'm Ayin. You all have a good one.